Well, bienvenida and welcome to all pool fans joining us from across the world for this Predator Pro Billiard Series 10-ball event hosted in this beautiful star-studded arena at the Gandia Palace Hotel on the Mediterranean coast in Spain. You join us now for the third match on day 5. It's the Little Monsters Men's International Open. We're up to the winners qualification stage and we have a battle of the 10-ball titans. Catchy takes on Marco Teutscher. My name is Gethin Davis, and joining me in the box for this great match is Eric Horlison. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, pleasure to be with you guys. Looking forward to a good match here. Two world-class players in the box. Slight favorite to Catchy, as would be against 90% of the field. But Marco, a great player that can definitely hang with them and give us a good match here.
Fully agree, Eric. I had the pleasure of interviewing Marco at his previous tournament over here in the Netherlands, where I join you from. And he was in not just good spirits, but good form, progressing quite well into the tournament. And I do believe he is on his way to relocating to Texas in the USA over with you. So watch out, Eric.
Interesting, I didn't know that. I mean, he'll do very well in the States. Texas is a good state to be based out of as well.
Well, Catchy has won the lag. These are race to 4s, best of 3 sets. And he gets us off to the start.
Cut break, about half power. Catchy's known for letting it out full power a lot of the time. This one didn't work. Shot for Marco.
Yeah, we've had some interesting situations with where the players are breaking from for this 10-ball rack. The cut break, I think, probably being most beneficial, but sometimes not getting position on the next ball. It looks like Marco's got an edge here, though, Eric.
Yeah, I think he's okay to pocket this one. Gonna have to weave through some traffic getting back towards the 3 off the 2.
He deadened the cue ball very nicely there to hold for the 2. Needs to come back up for the 3, but the 4 is very nicely positioned there.
Yeah, rack looking good now. Bit of movement from 6 to 7. But a couple easy plays on the 4, 5, 6. Marco's highest Pro Billiard Series finish is the semifinals of the World 8-Ball Championships. And that was a star-studded field. So proving that he's able to make it near the end of international tournaments like this.
Yeah, I believe Catchy has taken 2 World 10 balls in 21 and 23. Marco did take the US Open 10 ball a few years before in 2019, so as I alluded to, both are titans of the game. I think you're right in form right now. Catchy may have the edge, but well, it remains to be seen in this race to 4 format. It has provided for some great and interesting results.
Speed's perfect here. He'd ideally want to be drawing to the right a little bit. Looks like he has a straight back option.
Just stretching a little bit. I didn't know if that was causing him concern, but I think he was just checking the angle he wanted to leave himself on this 8. I think ideally would like to leave himself straight, but we'll have to have a very good touch here.
Yeah, whenever you're drawing the ball, no rails like that, kind of floating into position, floating across position, it takes extra care, and he recognized that. Have you been in Holland for a while, Gethin? Just asking because I know Marco was from there originally.
Yeah, he was, and he relocated to New Zealand. I have been here now for nearly 15 years in the Netherlands, and was originally from the UK and an English pool player, but the game over here in the Netherlands of US pool really has taken off probably 10-15 years before I got here, and was still going strong and is going strong, and I naturally just fell in love with the game, Eric.
Nice. So you saw Marco play as a younger player over there?
Absolutely, and he was a formidable talent then, and after his relocation to New Zealand represented them a few times nationally, so really up there with the top players. And like I said, he did pick off a title at the US Open, and that really did prove to us all of his capabilities. And he has taken this first one after a dry break from Catchy, and it is winner break format, so we'll get to have a look at how Marco is breaking. I did have a sneak preview of them both while they were warming up. Both of them appeared to favour breaking, well, I was going to say from the right hand side, but Marco's now moved over to that side, so
Interesting that he wouldn't try to execute the same one that he was practicing. Guess he didn't get good results in practice, trying to switch it up here. I saw him play a doubles match. He broke from the middle, but I think that's more relative to knowing that the overall game wasn't going to be as offensive anyways, and he was just looking for that kind of perfect spread where they could maybe get a break and run. He had a 5-set mixed doubles match yesterday. Took about a 3-hour match almost. Him and his partner Wang, can't remember her phrase, Wing Lang, I think, Wan Ling, made it through to the quarterfinals.
that sounded like a hard-fought battle.
It was. They lost the first set and they won the next two.
Well, we're halfway through.
Ball's got a little. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just about to say we're halfway through day 5. It'd be good to see how the player's stamina is holding up. As Marco threads the cue
with the 5 here. Yeah, he's good on the 2. Just got to figure out how to develop the 5. Not going to be able to do it on this shot. Oh, off the 5. I thought the 5 was too far down the rail. That's a good little sequence from Marco, and he's looking good to run the rack now.
Very creative play. I agree with you. I didn't see that on. And he's not come out too bad. If you want to be a little bit picky, he's the wrong side of the 4 to naturally hold for the 5. So be interesting to see how he holds the cue ball here. Yeah, nicely done. Yeah. He did let the shot clock get to about 3 seconds there, Eric. It looked quite a fine line.
Yeah, he's a methodical player. I saw that a lot in the doubles. He's experienced under the shot clock, though. He knows when he's getting near the end. I mean, it's a bit of a double-edged sword having the beeps go off too often. But he's used to it. Knows his pace. Never runs out of time, obviously. He doesn't seem completely rushed at the end of the shot.
You mentioned about their 3-hour match in the mixed doubles, I believe, and I've been informed that win puts them into the semis of that event. So looking very strong, both in the doubles and still going strong in the men's winners round here.
Yeah, they have a good partnership. His partner's pretty quiet. Marco's a little more high gear. But they complement each other well, and they trust each other. Little communication, concise communication.
Good work there from our referee, Greg Crudis, who's also from New Zealand. May have got to see Marco and ref his matches on New Zealand soil as well.
Good angle here to play up the left long rail. Take it off the rail and back towards the 10. Well, good signs for Marco out of the gate here. Coming out with a full table run in the first rack and now a break-in run in rack number 2. Can't start any better than this.
Certainly not, Eric, and gets himself into a quick 2-0 lead when this winner breaks first to 4 format. He could threaten to run away with this here. Looks to have his break working as well. Winner of this match will get a place in the last 32. It's double elimination, so the loser will move into the loser's bracket, but I doubt that will be playing on either of these players' mind right now. But that will bring Marco Teutscher back to break, leading 2 racks to 0.
Yeah, this is kind of that round where you're not too worried, because if you do lose the match, you'll still only have 1 match to qualify, but obviously you want to go through on the winner's side, not risk elimination. Going for the 1 in the right middle here. Just headed that way. Something else kicked into the same pocket. He's got a shot on the 1 again, Gethin.
Yeah, promising signs. The 1 ball was tracking towards the middle pocket, as you said, Eric, and I think the red 3 that kicked it out the way actually took its place in the pocket, so good stuff. And as you said, shape on this 1. It's a long shot, just off straight, but he can get his cue low on the cue ball here, so anything is possible.
Yeah, it looks like he has a slight angle going to the right, which can play okay. Biggest problem in the rack is the 4, and he's just looking for the best angle on the 2 to possibly develop something towards that.
Cool pocket, just informing the referee what his intentions are. Looks like he's going to dig into this, Eric.
Yeah, a little straighter than I thought. Only offense now is the 4-9 combo. Cue ball's lying well into getting good on it. But you'll have to be perfect because the 4 is pretty far from the 9. 9's decently far away from the corner. He's got other things in mind, Gethin. He's going to try the 2, come around 3 rails. Low percentage try on the 2, but high percentage try to get the 2-way element of the shot.
And is that because the 4 ball passes the 9?
The 6, I think. Did you mean the 6? I think he's
Oh, sorry, yes, the 6. My apologies,
yeah.
The green 6, indeed.
Yeah, I think it might, yeah. It's a smart shot here. A little unlucky with the final result, but he's going to have some good safe options here.
Yeah, he turned down the obvious pot there, Eric, to play a great shot to come around this side of the 4. I think the 8 is clearly blocking the pathway for the pot, so may want to roll up to this 8 ball while it's in that position.
Again, another strong turn at the table for Marco. First chance of the match for Eklund here, and it's not an easy one by any means, obviously, kicking at the ball.
It's very close to that 8. I can't imagine he would contemplate jumping over that, but I have been very surprised over the past 4 days at how well these players can jump.
Yeah, I'm surprised here. I mean, the kicking options are tough. That's the only reason he's considering it. But when you're confident enough to get over a ball that's about 2 inches away, maybe even an inch here, 1.5 inches, that's strong jumping play. Federer, of course, patented this style of play. Thing with Federer is he makes a lot of them too. Takes the extension off, wants to get the cue ball up quickly here. Shot. No result on the 4, though.
I was going to say, Eric, he's made a good hit, but that 4 has leaked into a very simple position. And, well, maybe that 6-9 is still going to cause a problem, but the way Marco played his last position for the 4, I think he may fancy coming underneath it again.
Yeah, it needs a small angle. Gonna have to draw over towards it, but it is possible. Too hard here. Gonna have 2 real options around. If he can get enough draw on the cue ball to draw it to the right of the side pocket, it is possible to come back 2 rails with the 10 and 9 start getting involved at that point. Went for it. Watch out for the 10. He's around it. Oh, a little unlucky again with the exact final result, but he's had good thoughts here on these last 2 tough positional plays. Be able to play safe again.
Yeah, he's just overrun twice on them shots. But I don't think he'll be too disappointed. He's playing it the right way and he's making his pots. If he can get good distance between the 2 here. But the cue ball has come up short a little bit, I feel.
Yeah, this is an underrated position to play safe from. Not the typical options that you usually have. Players would look to 4 rail this ball, but it's not the angle Catchy wants to be on, so he's going to try to bank at this. Oh, he's got it, Gethin. That's what makes players like this so tough. Just stepping up out of nowhere, random tough bank for an opener, and they make it.
And it may be down to them fine margins, Eric. That cue ball from Marco needed to get closer, I felt, to the long rail to sort of hamper Clenty having a crack at that. It did look tight as well, but a great bank shot. And he puts himself in prime position to start clawing back at this 2-0 lead from Marco. And Eric, he does indeed bring the scoreline back to 2-1 and will have the break. So you can't really call them glaring mistakes, but as I said, I think this will be down to the fine margins with the way that these 2 guys are playing, especially some of their offensive shots. It looks like they're not wanting to bring their opponent back to the table and finish it in one visit. So this could be fireworks right the way through.
Yeah, no, you made a good point there. I thought you were talking about getting the cue ball closer in line with the 7, which would have been tough, but the cue ball closer to the rail would have hampered Catchy a lot more on that shot. Just didn't quite get it over enough.
Breaking from the center, Eric.
Dead center. Watch the 6 and the 9 here. They'll be the most common balls to go in. This ref racks the balls well. The 4 ball in this case and the 4 railer winning a lot of times. In a previous match that I saw him do.
I think the 5 was going on the 4 railer. It just got knocked out of the way. But made a ball. Oh no, didn't. You have to excuse me there. So that will bring Marco to the table. No obvious shot on the 1, but a lot of traffic down middle of the table for him to maybe bring into play. Could just take an edge of this one.
Yeah, I thought he'd shoot directly at it, but he's been considering push since he approached the table. Just tying a ball up here. Smart play. Guarding his lead. Eklund can make this ball rail first. If anything, the 4 can play off the 2 as well.
Yeah, I think that's what he just looked at, Eric. If he catches it plumb, I think it's going to just miss it. But it's got every chance of dropping.
It's a good push from Marco. Nothing guaranteed to go well here.
Little smile from Catchy there.
Yeah, I think he knows he's taking an offensive chance, but he's made his mind up. Made it. Shot.
Tap on the leg from Teutscher. He hasn't really come good on this 1 ball. However, there are good options for safety here, and Catchy will be looking to lock Marco up here, I feel.
Yeah, I think behind the 5 plays well here. Shot. Very close to jump. Sides it up a little bit. Looks like he's going to favor the kick.
Yes, very close, and I'm wondering what kicks are available.
It's a path between the 5-9, 1 rail. Shot at making in the top left. Good half ball contact. Created some distance here. Nothing on for Catchy.
Well, there is a 1-9 combination lurking there. I don't think it's plumb.
Yeah, the only reason he might consider it is because the safes are tough. Already shot 1 kind of offensive shot in this rack. He's looking at the angle to overcut it. Running the 1 into the 5. Nice shot. Well, it's a little unlucky for Catchy here.
Yeah, he might be able to see enough of that There is a gap between the 5 and the rail for the 1 ball to travel down.
Yeah, he might even try to run the cue ball into the 7-3 if he does go offense here.
Yeah, very wise move. That would solve a problem that he would have to face later on otherwise.
Drew it just a little too much. Didn't want to get into the 10, and it's blocked him.
Yeah.
Jump options again here for Marco. I don't mind them. The 2's nice and close to the corner. He hasn't really, looks like he hasn't considered the jump yet. Good standard kick safe there from Marco.
Yeah, he turned down the jump. I don't know if it was because the 7 and 3 would have been hampering his bridge, but good containing safe.
Yeah, I think that was a factor there. He wasn't guaranteed to get on the 3. Shot from Catchy. Nothing available on the left long rail. Gonna have to go off the short rail here.
Just
One
seeing
or
the
2
background.
rail options off the short rail.
Just saying in the background there, Eric, is our other streamed match between a home hopeful Sanchez Ruiz, and he takes on Austrian Mario Hay. Another big clash. This is the stage we're at of the tournament now, Eric.
Yeah, all the winners' qualification matches going on, so quality of the field in action in this round. Unfortunate there. Kick the 2 in a way where he's able to open up the 7-3 now. It's a little straight, so he's not going to be able to get a lot of energy into the breakout. But he will be able to move them. Nicely played.
He was able just to move the 7, which guaranteed him knowing where the 3 was going to remain. So good focus on the cue ball position. It is straight, but we'll give him a good chance to leave an angle on this 5.
Looks like he's lost a bit of weight, Gethin. Looks trim, actually.
He did have an unfortunate injury a few years ago, and maybe have helped him put a few pounds on. But they do look to have come off of him. He's looking quite lean.
Yeah, must be going to the gym, which is good for your overall stamina during tournaments and just overall mind clearness.
And bringing the cue ball nicely across the centre of the table.
Well, drawing back into the 9 a little here. He'll have options. Kind of delayed draw the cue ball and bring it back for the side, or just cinch the position. Kind of hold in that area. Take a little angle on the 9. Good enough. A little straighter than I thought.
Good chance to bring him back to level in this race to 4. And with the winner break format, he will have a chance to extend that lead, so good chance here for Clenty.
Two all now. See what kind of break attack he chooses in rack number 5. The times when he won the World Championships, he broke from the middle the majority of the tournament. He's not afraid to take his chances on the break from closer to the center.
No, and you feel that if Catchy starts getting good results from the break, he's in form to run away with a few racks here. So Marco needs to be on his toes.
He's on his heels right now. I just moved his feet, but yeah.
Good spot.
No, he looks up for the challenge. It's just been back and forth racks here.
You see Catchy just shaking his head backwards and forwards. It's as if he's already indecisive on where he wants to put that cue ball and position it for the break. Here's a new one for you, Eric.
Yeah, I've barely ever seen this one. Josh Filler won the World 8-Ball Championships breaking from the back rail, but he did it from a little more squarely. This is innovative here. Hit them well. 10-ball randomly kicked out of the middle of the table into the corner. 4-railer down. Well,
yep.
You found the right recipe on that one.
The 4-ball dropped as well, Eric, but look where that cue ball's finished behind the 8. There is, well, a very thin edge, which Catchy could elect to glance off and leave the 1 ball down there, but a bit unfortunate from such a powerful break.
Yeah, it's tough to line the 1 and the 8 up here. Could get aggressive and try a path between the 6-10 and bring the cue ball all the way back to the short rail. Decent amount of blockers, 3-7-10, covering the left side of the table. Biggest worry there is you could run into the 6 off the second rail. Doesn't like it, just gonna push. So I think Marco will try the same shot I'm talking about, and Eklund was aware that if he does get it back here, the 6 would have put him in the same problem. The thing with this one is that the cue ball is a little further to the right, so it's a little bit tougher to create action, immediate action to the right with the cue ball coming back 2 rails. Like if the cue ball is more to the left, the shot plays a little more natural. It's still there, but this one's going to trend you into leaving the cue ball a little bit not quite as far down table. You might actually be considering putting it behind the 9. Oh, he caught the point. But look at this roll, Gethin. Wow.
Yeah. Well, Marco refused that shot and gave it back to Clenty to make. He caught the middle jaw, and it looked forever and a day that it would sell out to Marco, but that extra roll has really put Teutscher in a predicament. And he's shaking his head there. Balls are positioned nicely out in the open, so he's gonna need to ride his luck a little bit here with the 1-rail escape.
Yeah, whoever wins the battle on the 1 here is going to be a decent favorite in this rack. Five ball. And
Ooh.
roll of fortune returned.
Well, I believe Catchy just called it in the top left, so he's probably looking to play cushion first here. You've got to be careful of where the cue ball runs off after it contacts with this one. That corner pocket could get big.
Yeah, I think he'll draw at it just to avoid the scratch. Big turning point here in the first set. It's a ball that can go in, but make him 50-50 at best. Caught it a little thinly.
Yeah, he overcut it, and that one ball has hung out quite nicely. I think you were right, Eric. A big moment that was, especially as the player that nips this one will be the first on the hill in this first set.
Marco back in the driver's seat now.
Yeah, both players getting a little bit of fortune early on with their escapes from safeties. But Catchy did not get it for a second time. And with a good position on this 5 ball, we could be looking at Mr. Teutscher getting to the hill first with the break.
Yeah, he has a break and run in this set so far. Pretty standard position here. Just get close to the 9. Lots of options back towards the 10. Playing with good pace, not seeing him get down to the end of his shot clock as much.
Good view of the angle that Marco had to contend with there. Brings the cue ball nicely down the centre of the table. And as you said, Eric, looking quite rudimentary to close this 5th set out and to be the first one on the hill. And does just that and takes this 5th rack in this opening set and is the first on the hill, leads by 3 racks to 2. And as you said, Eric, a very key pivotal rack in this set. And you also mentioned that all 16 matches are underway. Some big names out there, and on our other table is Sanchez Ruiz, the home hopeful, against Mario Hay. Just looking at an update on the scores there. Maybe fire out any others that are highlights. Get back to you with that as Greg racks them for Marco to break on the hill. We'll be looking for a big one here, Eric.
Yeah, he's gone from the side rails. He promoted positive action towards the side pocket last break. Made a ball in that pocket. He'll stick with the same here. Similar type break. Ball's fighting to get in that side. Didn't go this time. Left Catchy a shot here.
Yeah, there's a gap between the two and the rail there for the one. And a very useful break in the sense of a great spread on the balls.
Catchy's going to ideally look to get straight on the 3. Straight back draw from that line will play well onto the 4. If he doesn't get straight, he can come across 2 rails and have a thinner angle on the 4. Like 2 rails forward here, Gethin. It's one of these shots you can draw or follow.
Yeah, I probably like the top spin to bring it in between the 7 and the 3. He's decided to draw it, and that's always the threat in drawing it. If it doesn't bite enough off of that long rail, you will come out a bit flatter. Well, he's left himself a bank here, but maybe safety's the better option, Eric.
Yeah, I think the only reason he might consider the bank is because the cue ball's right on the line for the 4, but it looks like he is going to back off. This is a real creative shot if he tries it. He was looking at going thin around 3 or 4 rails behind near the 4-8. Did he point over to a call there, Gethin? I saw him move his cue. I didn't see if it was right at the pocket.
He did call something. It wasn't completely obvious. I would say from the way he's lining up, he is considering the bank and holding for the 4.
Just short.
Yeah. I think that combination is a bit too far to consider from where the cue ball is. But he could use the 9 as a blocker on the 3 and bring the cue ball back across the table and use the 10 to cover it.
Yeah, the 10 mainly and maybe the 4. It's called the 9, but that's an in-case call.
Yeah, good insurance as its call pocket. If Marco was to make the 9 without calling it, Catchy would have the opportunity to actually give the ball back to the visit back to Marco, especially if it was in trouble.
Perfectly controlled, Gethin. He just nicked the 4 on the way through, otherwise he would have been right behind it. So he's left the left edge here.
Yeah, maybe trying to play a similar shot. Well, I think he needed to get the 10 in the way and he hasn't, and he's left quite a thick edge of that red 3 ball. Marco just having a look at where the cue ball will come off of it if he were to play it.
Yeah, this is a little tough. He doesn't have the center of the 3. He has the right edge. He's going to have to try to free the cue ball up table and line it up with the 6-7-4. That was creative. Try to get the 3 over a little more. Didn't work out, though. An edge to Catchy now.
Yeah, he does have a couple of options of where to put the cue ball here. Feel he could come either side of this 3.
Yeah, just a little unfortunate for him with the following angles leading to the 8 or the 4. So he's going to try to create something with draw here.
Ooh. He nearly went in the middle pocket, Eric.
Yeah, I don't think he called it there either and wouldn't have had anything on the 4. Let's see if Marco has room between the left long rail and the 7 to pocket this. Can definitely hit the 3 from that play. He's going to jump at it. Oh, no.
Jump 2 rail.
Wow.
Well, he played that too quick for us to call it, Eric, and was unsuccessful. Just wondering, going through his mindset there, I'm wondering if he played the jump onto the 3, was he worried that the cue ball would career over to the top right corner? I've seen it happen a few times, but that was very creative. A jump 2 rail escape.
Yeah, I was a little confused because I thought if he was going to go 2 rails, he had the kicking angle, but obviously he didn't, so I had to make a quick decision there at the end of his shot clock. Just got put in a tough spot randomly. Advantage back to Catchy now. Last 6 balls lying ideally. Just 1 cue ball movement from 9 to 10, but that'll be pretty elementary at that point. Great set so far, Gethin.
Absolutely. And we were always aware of how much of a thriller this could have the potential to be. And if the scoreline is anything to go by, this is already shaping out to be just that.
They've both had decent success on the break. Catchy going from a very rarely used location on the last one, but making 2 balls, so we'll see if he goes back there again.
Very methodical. We'll probably run this round 2 rails. Is it going to run enough?
A little short of ideal here.
He did leave it short, Eric, but makes it well. And as he makes that to get to the hill, he just has a little chat with Greg about the shot clock, I think, getting in the way of what's certainly distracting him. There's nothing Greg can do, I'm afraid. But we have a hill thriller in this first set. And as you mentioned, it will be Catchy to break. Wonder if he will persist with the position that he last played it from. It felt like that match was on a bit of a precipice, could have gone either way. It did go Catchy's way, Eric, and, well, one good break. Quick update.
Yeah, this.
TV tables.
Go ahead, yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that Mario Hay of Austria has taken the first set against the home hopeful, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. So he's going to have to come back from one behind in that match.
Yeah, Ruiz hasn't played in many Pro Billiard series as of late, but making his presence felt again. Beautiful break. Exactly what he was looking for there.
He's persistent from that spot to great effect, Eric. Makes a couple of balls off the break there, and very nice shape on the one ball too. So, as I said, one good break could turn this from Catchy being one rack down to nicking, or stealing rather, this first set, but a lot of work to do yet.
Yeah, there's options to come beneath the 3. Has to be a little careful of not tracking behind the 8 in that case. Would be a 2-rail playback. Wants to have a decent amount of angle here. He's actually a little straight. Still possible to create the shot I was talking about, but would definitely want to be thinner here. Well, he's going to have to hit this full speed if he wants to come back 2 rails. It's not really much else as far as getting on the 3.
No, we'll need to put a good shot on this, put a good stroke.
Great shot. Targeted high up the right long rail. Didn't want to run into the 8, so he's in a bit of trouble now. But did well to even get where he's at.
Just came round to inspect the line of the 4 onto the 8. Maybe a combination on there, which would lead Catchy to be offensive with this 3.
It's there, Gethin. Good escape on the first 3 balls here from Catchy.
It is. I did notice he got to 1 second on his shot clock, and he mentioned that the shot clock was confusing him from the other table. Let's hope he doesn't succumb to that confusion.
Perfectly controlled, and he's a big favorite to win the first set now. Tough set for Marco to go down in. Didn't really do much wrong. Couple safety battles both ways that he won a couple times and didn't win a couple times. But really no missed balls in this first set, Gethin. Really high level of play.
Agreed, and it will bring it down to the fine margins. Who gets the best success from the break? And as you said, the safety battles also. But this would be a great set for Catchy to pinch.
Can't remember exactly what he did when he was down 2-0. I think he banked the 4 in. Just coming up after not shooting offensively for the first 2. Maybe it was the 6. He banked the 6 in. That got him off to a good start in this set, and he's followed it all the way throughout the set.
That's a really good spot, Eric. I pointed out at the time that I'm sure Marco wanted that cue ball tighter against the long rail. It didn't look like that bank was on for where the 10 was. And I think you've nailed it. That was the turning point for Catchy, and he hasn't really looked back since then. And he takes it, Eric, and wins this first set on the hill, 4-3, in a really tightly contested opening set. I'm just wondering if the players are going to take a timeout. I think they are. And Eric and myself will take advantage of that to replenish our refreshments. I want to thank you for joining with us so far, but please stay peeled. We'll be back for the second set shortly.
Both players back at the table, ready to kick it off in set number 2. Teutscher to break first. Highly competitive first set. Not really much between them as the score indicates. Both threw in a break-in run. A couple safety battles that ended up going one way or the other. Look for Marco to hold strong here.
As you mentioned, Eric, very little between them. Not many mistakes made. Scoreline reflecting that.
There goes the 1 for Teutscher. And the 2's going to sit up as long as the 3 doesn't get in the way. He's okay here. Good start for Marco.
Yeah, the cut break is working for him. And shape on the 2. Very good opener for him here. Will be a bit disappointed in how the first set played out for him. Maybe didn't feel like a few things went his way. But a useful opener here as we get this second set underway.
Yeah, it's always tough to come back after you played a real good set and didn't win it. Kind of have those thoughts in your mind that it's too much of an uphill battle, but he knows that it was just a couple situations here and there, and he could have had that first set.
Got a good angle on this 3, Eric. 4 would be tight for the middle pocket. Would ideally like to come low side of this 4.
Yeah, there's room to draw between the rail and the 4. It's a good shot. A little too much angle to draw it all the way up and get straighter.
Now he's going to have a good look at what he does with this 6, Eric.
Yeah, I think the only option is to land between the 7-8. He's going to be crossing the angle back towards that shot, so wants a fairly comfortable angle on the 5 so he can feel the speed as best possible. He's overhit this Gethin. Banks only now.
Yeah, the cue ball just came down the table, or rather up the table as we're looking at. A bit too much for Marco. I felt he was trying to hold it a bit higher. Does call the bank.
Yeah, he has angle going to the right. Just going to have to be real specific with the speed here. Might actually fall between the 6-7. Is that what you're going to say? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if that lended itself for that shape.
Tried to. It's going to have a high percentage safe.
Crowd is looking on closely. Our referee from New Zealand, and Marco has managed to get that green 6 ball up behind the 7.
Yeah, he's got full coverage. Catchy's going to have to do something off the rails here. I don't mind trying to get the cue ball back near the 10. Bottom right corner plays pretty big on that shot. But I think he has to risk it.
The way he's addressing the 6 ball there, if he can get a good chunk of the cushion, there may be a chance that 6 ball's going to track up towards the top right pocket. Oh,
I'm
he's called
very
the 8.
surprised he called something on the side. Yeah.
I think it was the 8 ball, Eric. I think he's expecting the 7 to...
Oh, he had ball first. It was just a just in case call.
Yeah. Now, Marco does have a good look at this and can get underneath the cue ball.
Yeah, distance tester here. These are the kind of shots that'll have to go down if he wants to beat a player of Catchy stature, though. He's passed all tests so far. Got it.
Played it nicely. Let the shot clock get quite low. Didn't affect him. And for anyone looking to keep updated on all 16 of these matches taking place right now, please do visit the ProBilliardSeries.com website, where you'll have all the fixtures, results, table numbers and times. And this is one of 6 tournaments that are being played here. We've just completed the women's. We had the final yesterday, being won by So against Kelly Fisher, but we also have the Little Monster men's and mixed doubles underway, as you're watching the men's here, and also the Predator WPA Junior World Championships. We've got some of the young guns in this arena as well, so lots to watch, lots to keep track of, as Marco has done very nicely to finish here on the 9. Going to be tracking towards the 10, just needs to avoid that.
Yeah, he's going to want to play this with a bunch of right spin. The pocketing's comfortable enough that he shouldn't be afraid to load it up with spin. I think that's the best play here. Whoa, went too far that way. Almost seemed like he stunned it a little bit by accident. So another tester here for Marco. I think he must have been trying to run into the 10 if he hit it in that way. I mean, he did, but I'm talking about 10 first and push it over the bottom right.
Yeah, I think he was maybe expecting to push the 10 towards the corner pocket. I didn't think there was enough room to get underneath it. However, Marco has elected to play the long 10 up the rail and is successful and takes the first rack of this takes the opening rack of this second set. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Needs to answer back with the second set, Eric, so all to play for. So we just take a look over at our other TV table. Mario Hay, who took the first set against the home hopeful Sanchez Ruiz. And that score now, Francisco has taken the first rack of the second set. So, looks like he's mounting a comeback on our other TV table. And that's what Marco is hoping to do back on our TV table. As we wait for Greg Crudis to rack them, I can't imagine Marco is going to change too much with his break. His cut break does seem to be working.
Yeah, made the one on the side the previous break, so that's the ultimate goal they're going for. Whenever they have that going, they'll try to keep the trend going on that.
I mentioned our Little Monsters Mixed Doubles Open. The semi-final of that will be taking place today, the final tomorrow.
Nothing down this time, and the one's going to dress up nicely for Catchy.
Yep. Eric, I think if we look at that replay again, the one was tracking on the cut break, but got bumped out the way well before it got close to it. So, a little look away from Marco. Realizes that's an opportunity missed.
Catchy just surveying the table here, figuring out how he's going to separate the 9 and 10. 9 doesn't pass the 10 in the bottom right. You have to get on a real small angle to have anything into the bottom left. Don't really see any balls that jump out at me as far as the breakout. Maybe the 3, just because the 4 is decently positioned, but he's over top of the 6 now.
Yeah, awkward queuing over the 6. The 3 ball is located quite close to the 2, so may be able to not do too much and roll through. It is available for the centre pocket. That's what he's looking at there. But yeah, I've had a closer inspection of that 9-10, Eric, and that looks a very difficult cookie to deal with.
Yeah, I think he would have tried to do something off the 3, but he can't guarantee any kind of solid position here. Has to focus on the pocketing too much. See how this ends up. Didn't make it. Hasn't left it for Marco, but should be happy to get back to the table here.
Yeah, I think that was down to the awkward queuing. It made that shot very difficult. Well, Catchy's got away in the fact of he's blocked the centre pocket. I wonder if Marco is able to pick out a good spot here for the cue ball. He will know that the 2 ball can rest if he plays it against the 3.
Shot.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the 8 is blocking the 1 cushion escape here on this long rail closest to us as we look at the table.
I think it is. He's looking short rail here.
The insurance call, Eric, was 2 ball centre pocket.
This might hold up for Marco. It has, nicely. So up to Marco to figure out this puzzle with the 9-10 now.
Yeah, and the more I look at it, Eric, the harder it's getting. And, well, the 3 ball would look favourite to do something off of it because the 4 ball is low of the centre pocket, so it could leave it available. I'm not sure it passes the 6, the 4 ball. And Marco's just overrun that as well for ideal position on this 3.
Yeah, got completely on the 50-yard line here. To the point where I think he's considering safe. Looking at the pocketing angle. He's got to bring the cue ball around the rails here. Cue ball's kind of running into the 6-3 rails, but he'll be focused on the pocketing and just trying to stay at the table. Got around it, and he's good in the side. Nice shot.
Yeah, very good looking shot. Just low enough to be able to fire the cue ball up the top of the table for the 5.
If you get the cue ball on the right side of the table onto the 9, you can play the cue ball behind the 10. I don't think there'll be anything as far as breakouts. Not enough guarantee. Well, he's considering the carom. I mean, you'd have to be real good on the 9 to consider yourself a favorite on that carom.
The one thing I do like about that carom, Eric, is that if he plays it from the left-hand side, like you said, or like he was gesturing, the 9 will go up the centre of the table and the cue ball should stay somewhere down here, so there could be an element of safety as well in that shot.
That's a great call.
There's less balls on the table now for him to attack that 9, so he might be all he's going to be left with.
No, it's a good call. If he can control the 9 off that carom, it's a good shot.
You've been talking about 50-yard lines, Eric. Unless this was on purpose.
Yeah, he's found it again. I think the cue ball's going to play in front of the 10 here. Off the second rail. Might be able to get into it. He was. Well, he's moved them, but not necessarily advantageously. Better than it was before.
Well, very offensive. It did look tight for him to even attempt that. Got a bit of movement, a bit more separation. It does make the 9 more available for the cut to the left corner. He has to play this, though, very particularly. 2 rails, maybe even a third. Long rail, long rail, long rail.
Shot from Marco on the 9 ball. Gonna have to come up and down. But he's got a chance to get through this now. This was a tough table, Gethin. He landed 50-yard line a couple times, found a way to develop the 10. He's put himself in an offensive position.
We did see him do something similar in the first rack, taking a 2-0 lead. We'll want to convert it this time, though. Ooh. Well, it appears something put him off during his shot. Maybe the clapping, the applause on the other table. And not only did the 9 ball rattle, the cue ball took a few hits on the centre cuff. However, it's not turned out too bad for Marco, but a bit unfortunate if he was put off during that shot. Very important shot for him.
Yeah, the timing of the clapping was right when he was down on the ball. It's things that happen over the course of a tournament. Very smart shot here from Catchy.
Yeah. He's called the 9. Bank. Maybe can hold the cue ball down this end of the table for the 10. And we'll have separation between the 9 if it rattles and pops out favourably for him. So I think he's going for the cut, though. No. It was the bank. With that 9 ball coming off the cushion, Eric.
Yeah, Catchy's the favorite now. That was a real cagey shot by Eklund on his previous inning. I haven't really seen a shot like that before. It'd be tough to do if there was only 1 ball on the table. But since he had to play position on another one, it's a very good shot. Oh, but he's missed the pot. He's lost the cue ball too. It's not in.
No. And I don't know if you noticed, Eric, but that shot clock got down to nearly 1 second again. He is flirting with it. Just wondering if that played a little role in him having to speed up his backswing there.
Yeah, both players recognizing that they have to try to play perfect here and taking the full amount on their shot clock. Not really loose play from either of them. Kind of squaring off. Here he is again, down to 2 seconds. Got this one. This one similarly to this. Yeah, he knows it's the same shot.
He might want to be aware of the other table and wait for them to finish their shot first.
He's learned his lesson on that one.
Oh, and Marco Teutscher does make the 10 ball down the short rail to extend his lead to 2-0, something we did see in the first set. However, Catchy was able to turn that one around into a hill thriller and won it at the end. So a good start for Marco, the exact reply he needed in this second set, but still all to play for. As we just take a little look at Mario Hay, who's playing the Spaniard, Francisco. The score always comes up a bit small for me on here, but it looks like it's 3-1 to Francisco, mounting a great comeback in the second rack. So we are in store for some fireworks on both tables today, Eric.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day of pool. The mixed doubles is going to conclude today. Semifinals are down to Fischer and Kazakis against Zhang and Sholnaki. Ocean and Ocean against Wang and Teutscher. Semifinal will be coming up in the next round. Final will be coming up later tonight. Short on the one this time. Did he make a ball in the top pocket? I think he did. Bottom pocket, pardon me. Yeah.
Good eyesight, Eric. I was too busy focused on the yellow one ball, just coming short of the middle pocket there. Now, I would imagine Marco would choose to go safe here and try and keep the cue ball down there. With all this traffic on the left-hand side of the table, it does lend itself to being the obvious shot, bringing the cue ball round 2-3 rails. But is he going for this?
I think he's just going to stick the cue ball behind the 3. You're right, though. Did go for it.
Well, I have to say he was putting a little bit of faith in the elements there. I guess where the 2 ball was meant that he was hoping he would be guaranteed a shot, but the cue ball did connect with the 8 and threatened to go a bit ugly. What it has done, though, is sat next to the 7 ball down here, so not out of the woods yet by any stretch of the imagination, Eric.
Yeah, he's just taking a look if the 7 is available on the bottom left. If it is, he won't disturb it. He's got to draw out of this. The following angle is going into the 5. Just a little tough to slow the cue ball down because the draw has to be hit with a decent amount of speed. Should be okay out one rail. Oh, didn't get enough draw into it.
No, I did think that was risky and certainly a possibility. I felt that he was going to try and actually avoid the 5 with deep screw and maybe bring it round 2 rails. However, better the devil you know, and Catchy, with ball in hand, has a very good opportunity to stop the rot on the scoreline for this second set. He's just had another look at that 7-8 as well. I'm not too sure if the combination is on. Doesn't look like it from here. Great overhead view, Eric.
Yeah, the combo's a little off, but he seems content with shooting it in the bottom left. Yeah, the problem with that shot for Marco is he had to keep the speed down. If he could hit at any speed he wanted, he would have caught enough draw, but he was trying to catch the minimum amount of speed to hold the cue ball for the 3 and just was off by about a half speed. Six is lying nicely for where he needs to get on the 7.
Indeed. And as you said, he has had a couple of looks at that and feels it goes into the bottom left, which will be very, very handy. He's having a look again. I'm just wondering if he's even entertaining running into them from this angle. I'm not sure. His face doesn't give much away, Eric, I'll give you that.
I agree. He's always very little emotion at the table. He has a little too much angle here. He might go into them. Tried to. I think this combo is too far off to be thrown. And the 7 is just a little too far away from the 8 to catch big throw action. This is a weird shot where you'd actually cut the ball the opposite way that it looks. It throws the 8 towards the pocket. But the 7 is just a little too far from it. You can get behind the 10 with the cue ball.
Yeah, looking for the 10. Has hit it quite full and left a good look at the 7. And you brought up the concept of throw. It took me years to get my head wrapped around that. Sometimes combinations that look on are actually off, and sometimes when they look off, they're actually on. You could probably explain better, but that's as far as I could get.
Yeah. Yeah, if the balls are frozen, you're going to catch the maximum throw. If they're just barely off, you can throw them a little bit, and that was super close to it, but just a little too far away. It's experienced judgment to know exactly how far the ball can be away from it, but know that if the ball is frozen or close to frozen, you can change the angle. You have to it's a bit of a complicated concept, but you're basically cutting the ball the opposite way. Create something that doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Marco played that shot and overcut it on the professional side, so it would come back out into the middle of the table, but the cue ball has left in a position where it could have been cuttable. Catchy deciding against it and using the 8 for block. Wise, mature play.
Yeah, slowed the cue ball down there with a bunch of left spin. Nice shot.
He's called it in the top right. Maybe he can see an edge of this, Eric.
Could be swerving at it too. Good controlled kick there. Similar shot for Catchy now. Using right spin this time.
Yeah, and with not much traffic on the table, it just goes to show how accurate these guys are with the cue ball over such distances.
Oh, he had enough of it to cut it in. Good shot. And another back and forth rack here.
Yeah, that was a great shot from Catchy.
One for Marco. But similar to the first set, Marco going out to a 2-0 lead. Catchy playing some good shots to keep himself in the set.
Yeah, that was a very interesting tussle between the two of them. I didn't feel that Catchy was going to go for that. He did. Good offense. He was patient during that rack and will take it to bring back the scoreline to 2-1. He does trail by 1 in this second set, but he did win the first set, so leads 1-0 and will, in this format, winner breaks, stay at the table. Well, you mentioned, Eric, this is what we saw in the first set. I'm sure Marco, it was the last thing he wanted. And I'm just wondering, is Greg and Catchy having a quick chat about the shot clock again?
I'm not sure. I think it's something about taking the balls out of the pocket. Really not sure.
Well, it's got a little bit to do with shot clock and a bit to do with Catchy having to move a ball around the table. Well,
think it was about taking the balls out of the pocket, but
it sounded like the referee was just giving him I may have interpreted this wrong, Eric, but it sounded like the referee was just giving him a little warning for moving the cue ball with the tip of his cue, which he could have called as a foul, and I think it's fair if it was a warning that he's given him. Catchy wasn't necessarily too happy with it. I think Catchy was explaining that if he wanted to move it with his fingers, he had to walk back around the table with the shot clock running to move it with his hand, if I've understood that correctly. So a little bit of drama, a bit of confusion, and a bit of Greg stepping in just to clear that up.
no, that's a good call. It sounds proper. That's a bit of an ambiguous rule. You definitely can't move the cue ball with the front of your tip. But I'm pretty sure in the Pro Billiard Series, you can, well, I know you can use the shaft. Ref might have been just saying you're getting a little too high up the shaft, bordering a little bit too much into the tip.
And I have to say, Eric, I like that. I like what Greg's done there. Our referee from New Zealand, he's, let him know that it's there. It's warned him, so it won't come out of the blue now if he does get penalised for it. Very good play, but dry break.
Yeah, there was that famous situation in the World Team Championship final in a very important spot in the match where Chang Jun-Lin moved the cue ball with the front of his tip, and John Lehman called a foul immediately. I mean, you can't move the cue ball with the front of your tip. Just gets a bit ambiguous about how far up the shaft you can go.
Marco's made the thin cut and done exactly what he wanted, which was to run into them balls thick. It's left him open on this 2, and where the 3 is, it lends itself quite nicely for him to get back around for the 4 into that same pocket. So a nice little opportunity for Teutscher here.
Yeah, very runnable rack, and this is for him to get on the hill. Under draw on this.
Yeah, and 2 sets of shot clocks going off at once. It's not the first match where players have just been slightly confused by it.
I don't know if there's any solution for that one.
Well, no, I don't, unless you change the tones per table, but then it only gets more confusing. Well, thin cut on this 4. The cue ball will track back over to Marco's side of the table for the 5. And as you pointed out, quite a nice spread out there for him.
Yeah, he's good here. Gonna need some right spin on the 5, but pretty comfortable with the pocketing. Just a little thin where he has to hit it slightly less pace than comfortable. Shot. Looking good now.
Indeed, Eric. And Marco not rushing. Knows this is a big rack to get to the hill in this second set. An important set for him, a must win even. Deep breath from Marco there. Has got angle. May choose to not do too much with the cue ball here for the 8 up in the top left.
Yeah, just staying on the rail side here was going to work well, and he's done that nicely. Well, he's going toe-to-toe here with one of the best in the world, and he's right up there with one of the best as one of the best in the world, of course, too. But he's done everything he can to really put on a good match here, and looking like he can take down the second set now.
And if he does, we will have it all to play for. Needs to make sure of this. Surely we expect him to do so, and we'll have the break as he's on the hill. So Marco Teutscher in this second set takes a 3-1 lead, gets him to the hill, will retain the break. And just to give you a quick update for our Spanish fans, it looks like Francisco Sanchez Ruiz has pulled the second set back against the Austrian Mario Hay. Again, two very accomplished players. So they're having a good tussle over on our other TV table. Our viewers are being spoiled, Eric.
Yeah, this has been a real high quality match. Marco kind of with his back against the wall here in the second set has responded very well.
So Marco Teutscher, trailing by 1-0, is on the hill 3-1 in this second set and lines up the cue ball for his break. Again, being close with his tip to the cue ball there, and a little smirk from Greg. Brilliant stuff.
Seven ball down, 9 ball down as well. Nothing easy on the one, but a look at it. Six aren't easy here. Follow play off the left side. The cue ball's running into the 3. So he's going to go at the bank and he's going to take a shot at winning this first set. He's a little worried about the cue ball playing too far to the right here and then ending up behind the 4 off the third rail. See, anytime you have to draw a safe, it makes it so much tougher. And really the following options to play safe here aren't really there. So he's in a tough spot. He's going to go for the bank in the corner now. He wants to win this set, Gethin.
Yeah, I agree. And I think maybe he's been forced into it a little bit due to the nature of what you have alluded to, the fact that there is no obvious safety for him. So has elected to play that bank and play on the professional side, which pops the cue ball back out centre table. That's not a bad way to play that shot. Didn't get a ball in the path of the 1. The 2 did threaten it. So Catchy's turn to see what he can get from this.
Cue ball near the 6 will work here. Shot.
Well, I thought it was a bit pacey at first, but that's come in lovely with, well, he had 3 balls to block that one. Ooh, I didn't hear that call, Eric, but a pocket was called as insurance.
Would assume the bottom right. Hasn't left it on. So Catchy's going to have to come up with another good safe here.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he can bring that 1 ball down onto the bottom short rail and bounce the cue ball off that said short rail back at the top of the table. I don't know if Catchy's even looking at the cross bank.
Yeah, the cross bank can be covered by the 2-5. Just got to be careful of the not landing behind the 4. He's Gonna have to play it with some left spin. Just went thinner. Went for the cue ball control. Did it nicely.
He did, Eric. He's left a one cushion escape. But that one ball will be going into no man's land. Not many options for cover.
Yeah, really, the cue ball can really only end up behind the 8 here, and that's very tough.
That was what he was lining up, Eric. He was aiming to take the edge of the one. He's come out of that very well. There may be the danger of a cross bank.
Yeah, I think Catchy has to switch to offense here. Looks like he's going to cut it straight in. Tough one, but he has to try to get himself back in the set.
Oh, that was very nice. A favourable kiss off the 10 as well. As you saw from that camera angle, that was a very thin cut to contend with to start with.
Yeah, I had to focus on the pocketing more there. Knew he was going to run into the 10. 2 ball was nice and close to the corner, so felt like the gamble was worth the risk. Turned out well. Little surprised he didn't draw back for the corner. He's going to want the cue ball to miss the 10 to the right here. I believe it is.
Yeah, that one did confuse me a little bit, Eric. I really thought he was going to be playing that down in the bottom corner pocket past the 10.
Yeah, he must have known that the cue ball was running wide of the 10 if he just kind of stopped it. Back on track here for Catchy. A lot of players would have folded by now, even in the first set. I mean, Marco's played real well. But Catchy's made good dividends of all the chances he's had.
He has. And he's not going to let Marco run away with this either. He's going to certainly try to ask questions of him in this second set. And that is sitting pretty. Plenty catchy, taking the 10 in this 5th rack of the second set. Well, Marco Teutscher is on the hill, but Catchy's back to 1. He trails by 3 racks to 2. Will have the break. And, well, this second set is not over yet, Eric. Could go either way.
Yeah, Catchy's been about 60 to 70% on pocketing balls on the break, so make him a threat to break and run. Both these players a threat to break and run. And in these short sets, once you start throwing in those break and runs, you can catch up pretty quickly. Rui is still trying to mount his comeback here.
Yep, very good Spanish contingency here for their home little monster international opens. 3 of them in total, the women's, the men's and the mixed couples. Mixed couples has been very entertaining. We also have the Predator WPA Junior World Championships going on at the same time as well. All tables right now are in play for the winners qualification stage. This one included. These guys playing for a place in the last 32, and they've made a ball off the break.
Yeah, just not quite clear if the 8's blocking the banking angle. I have a feeling it's there. Pretty sure it is there. He's looking, just sizing it up perfectly. Play stop position for the 2.
Yep, threading it through the 6-8 into this middle pocket. It looks tight.
Cue ball just moving slightly to the left here. I think he's straight enough though that he can still hit it at a comfortable speed. Great shot. So you always want to hit banks around a medium speed, and he knew the cue ball was moving left there, so he kind of just got into like low draw to still hit good speed and hold the cue ball. These little intricacies that these top players are able to recognize and execute properly is really the key to why they're better than everyone else, basically, you know. But it's even one little shot like that, little things like that matter.
Gonna need to be a little bit particular on his position for the 4 here. The 5 not going to the bottom left pocket is available to the centre and top left, which would lend it Catchy needing to get underneath it. Has he fallen a bit straight on this 3 for his liking? I'm not too sure. I don't think that will pose too much of a problem for him. He can always screw back across to the long rail and back out again.
Yeah, it's drawing a bit to the left, and he wants to be pretty straight on the 4, so he's actually considering just following through and kind of guaranteeing himself a straighter angle on the 4.
Yeah, good spot, Eric. Recognising that it was going to be a bit too difficult to get the shape he wanted on the 4. Now needs to follow through here, off the rail. Not much to threaten cue ball position, so can open up a little bit here.
Looks good now, Gethin. Slightly too much angle here, but he'll be able to manage it. If he has to come out one rail for the 6 in the top right, he can.
Yeah, and this will be a really important rack for Catchy. Again, maybe giving Teutscher a bit of deja vu. Ooh. He's just come against the cushion here, Eric. I think he can just run into the 8.
Yeah, he'll be hitting the 8, but looks like he's hitting the proper part of it. There won't be much risk of the 8 getting in between the 7 and the cue ball.
And doesn't move that 8 ball too far either. So would be ideally like to be getting in towards the center of the table here. Straight will also be fine.
Well, all the way back to the side. Got a straight in angle in the corner, and he'll take it. Hit that
I
one
have to
nice
say,
and
Eric.
aggressively. Made sure he got off the rail there.
Yeah, this is fantastic pool. Great for our viewers at home and for us in the box. Maybe not so good for Marco Teutscher, who was on the hill at 3-1. But now that has turned into hill-hill. Catchy taking the next two in a row. And we have us a thriller of a second set. Just taking a look at the other table underway. Big match between the home hopeful Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. He takes on the Austrian Mario Hay. He brought it back from trailing 1-0 to 1 set apiece and now finds himself 2 racks to 0 in front. So he really looks to be stealing a march there. Bringing it back here for a little synopsis. Marco must be a little bit sick in his chair. And Catchy, you would have to say, Eric, is in the driver's seat here with ball in hand for the break. Hill, second set.
Yeah, Catchy's been stuck in both sets, and he's made strong comebacks in both. Less than 3 missed balls over the course of the 2 sets so far from both players combined. Super high level stuff. Oh, he cut it this time, Gethin. Surprised he went away from what was working for him. Might have cut it by accident. But didn't get one here.
He steps back from the table a bit, staggering. I'm not too sure that was what he expected at all. So you might be right there, Eric. May have just missed the right angle for that cut break. And, well, Marco can certainly see this one ball. I'm not sure how much of it he can see. This angle doesn't give too much away. But Marco seems glued to the spot at the moment.
Yeah, I don't believe he can pocket it, and the double kiss is looming real big off if he tries to play off the left side. Not sure here. Just had to try and avoid it. Did to a certain extent. But he'll be in trouble on the next shot.
Yeah, he wasn't able to avoid the double kiss. I think it would have been more favourable leave if he had. Well, there's certainly not an easy pot on for Catchy by any stretch of the imagination, but like you said, Eric, he'll be looking to get Marco, or put him rather, in a good dose of trouble here. Asking questions from him at 3-3.
Left long rails out. Right long rails blocked by the 2-3-6. He's in trouble here, Gethin.
He is indeed. And where them the 3-6-2 cluster are, if there was a gap at all to play the one cushion escape, it looks like it's... Wow. Is this a 2-rail escape coming round the backside of the one?
I think it has to be.
May pick up the third cushion as well, and if it does, he may throw that one ball up towards the bottom right corner pocket. Big shot.
Tough to get enough energy in this one to pocket it. Just focusing on the hit here. Good shot. And he's going to get a roll. No. He's going to leave the one.
He is. The 2 is in a bit of a tricky position for Catchy to contend with. So he's just having another look there. How thin, or rather how thick he can get onto it. It's going to be a test of pace coming round 2 rails.
I think he might try to run into the 6. It's tough to get the cue ball that tight, coming that tight off the 2 rails. But there's not much else.
Yeah, that's a great shot. If he can do that, that will really open both the 3 and the 2 up. So,
Just tough to get that much draw to that shot. It's gone badly here.
Yeah, he was certainly looking to do what you suggested, Eric, and run into that 6. Now he finds himself in a bit of self-inflicted trouble, and it could be something as simple as that that could turn this second set in favour of Marco, but the one cushion escape, he's not played that bad at all.
Yeah, good shot there. If the 2's banking long on the 3, can get it back over to the same side of the table it's on now, but just up table. He's called the bank. I think he's still playing safe here. Yeah, he knew he was going short of the 3. Didn't want to hit the 5 though. Over quickly to see what he's left.
Yeah.
Called the 10, Gethin.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's swerving around the 7. He is. This will be a highlight reel shot for sure.
Got the cue ball going that way. A chance for Marco to take advantage now.
I actually thought that cue ball had retained enough spin to pop behind the 10 there. That would have really worked well in Catchy's favour. What he has left his opponent is a thin cut into the corner. Marco may turn this down, try to keep Catchy in trouble. Which he's done.
He's left the jump. Position towards the 3 is going to be tough.
Notice Marco just checking his timer with the ref during his shot. So maybe still a little bit of confusion with the noises in the background. But this is a similar one that Catchy had before, where he decided to swerve it. This time he's jumping.
Oh, and he's going to get a roll
may have had
here.
a roll there.
It might just be there. Look at Marco's body language here. He's grimacing a little bit. It's tight, but I think he has it. He's got it, Gethin.
Yeah. Has to be a bit careful here with position on the 4, because if he wants to come back across the table for the 5, that 9 ball may be in the way, so could try and finish straight on the 4 so he can hold on that side of the table for the shot on the 5. It'll be interesting to see how he navigates this shot.
Yeah, he's going to bank it. There's nothing positive trying to cut it straight in. Shot. Slightly too much angle. He can land between the 7-9.
Just heard a big round of applause. I assume that was for Marco's shot, but clearly not. There's a big home support for Ruth in the background there.
He won the match.
I'm not too sure. It shows that he's on the hill, so it may have been him closing it out, or maybe him reaching the hill, but certainly good home support in here in the background. Now, another little shake of the head from Marco. He may have finished a bit straighter on this than he wanted to, but does have a good line through for it, regardless.
Yeah, he can come straight back here. Just going to be a little more angle on the 6 than ideal. Look at this. Came all the way back for the side, and he's done well. And And this could be a set winner.
Yeah, that was a very pretty shot. Confidently struck. Puts himself in the driver's seat now to take this second set. Still a little bit of work to do though.
Recognizing that he was always going to leave himself some angle in the side on the 7, so smartly playing over for the corner.
Yep, not moving the cue ball much at all. Just wanted to come slightly off centre for it, and I think he has done that.
Yeah, ideally he's going to want to draw to the right here. It's there.
Ooh, Eric.
Yeah, second set comeback completed by Marco, and we're going to a third set here.
That we are, Eric. Wow, the 10 ball still needs to drop. However, Marco Teutscher has held his nerve after getting to the hill at 3-1 and has taken this second set. A little slap of the table as he picks up his chalk. Clearly that means a lot to him. So closely contested. 4-3 to Catchy first set, 4-3 to Teutscher in the second set. We're going to a third set thriller. Looks like Catchy's just taken a break. I would recommend that you and I also, Eric, take a quick break while the players do, and we'll be right back for the culmination of this thriller. Please don't go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You join us for the third and deciding set in this closely contested matchup for the last 32 in this Little Monster Men's International Open. Match between Catchy and Marco Teutscher. My name is Gethin Davis, and returning to the comms box with me for this thriller, Eric Hallison. Welcome back, Eric.
Yeah, 7 games apiece, 1 set apiece. Real neck and neck battle here. Both players playing at a super high level. Catchy didn't make a ball in his last break, but he's been overall successful from this attack location. Oh, took some speed off, made the 1. Well, he's adapting. He's trying different things.
He is. He's probably been as fortunate as you can get, though, where the cue ball has rested behind the 9. You may hear a bit of background noise, ladies and gentlemen, and that is because the home hopeful, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz, came back from 1 set down against the Austrian Mario Hay to take that by 2 sets to 1. So the comeback completed by the Spaniard. We have a Dutchy Marco Teutscher here looking to do the same. He's done half the hard work already in taking the second set to bring it back to all level. This has all the makings, Eric, of being an absolute thriller.
Yeah, tempting Teutscher into the jump here. Won't be any chance of getting behind another ball if he makes it. Be tough to get perfect on the 3, but I think worth a shot here.
Yeah, decided not to give it back to Catchy. I don't blame him. Both Marco and Catchy great jumpers of the ball. Ooh, he just called the extension in time there and made a little comment to the ref.
Ooh, shot.
Yeah, and as you said, it's going to be difficult to get good position on this 3, but has position.
Yeah, he's going to try to hit this at the lowest speed as possible. He has to draw it to avoid the scratch in the bottom right. Just trying to hit it at low speed so the 3 ends up near that pocket. Very nicely played.
Very nicely indeed, Eric, and he can just bring the cue where his finger is there now, bring the cue ball back across for this 4, and that will really open this 8th set up. 8th rack, sorry. Got a big bounce.
Yeah, might have to go behind the 8 here. Just really focusing on getting frozen to the 8. Very well done.
Yes.
Even blocked off the 2 railer with the 6 a little bit.
And as you were saying earlier, Eric, and really good advice for more amateur players coming up the ranks, it is much easier to roll up behind balls with topspin than it is to play safety checking into it. Good demonstration of it there.
He can get into it 3 rails here. Not going to be much energy left in the cue ball after the 3rd rail, but he's got a chance to kind of line the cue ball up with the 7-9. It's going to tend to come off a little tight off the 3 rails.
Yes, Eric, a very tricky position indeed.
Surprised he got into the long side of it, but that ended up working.
Yeah, it was the risk of a scratch there, Eric. Avoided it.
Cue ball behind the 9 here, but again, a bit of a problem where he has to draw it. Can't do it with just spin. Shot.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard in the background there, Eric, that Marco called the 10 as a bit of insurance there, and actually wasn't far away from connecting with it.
Yeah, he knew where he was playing the 4. So keeping Catchy at bay here nicely. Really has to trust to luck as far as kick safe. Possible to miss the whole ball. Yes, and he's extracted the ball in hand.
Yeah, good pressure from Marco there, putting Catchy a couple of times in trouble, and now is reaping the reward from that. Just having another look at the angle on the 8 into the centre pocket there.
Yeah, I think it's a little sharp. I think he'll avoid it. Only thing he doesn't want to do on the 8 is land straight, because he'll need to develop some angle back to the middle of the table for the 9.
Maybe wouldn't even
Don't
mind if he
coming
finishes.
inside it.
Yeah, or even if he leaves the cue ball on this long rail, would also help.
Good shot.
Yeah,
Well, if Marco's going to move to Texas, it kind of shows that he's going to pursue playing full time. I know he's kind of a part-time-ish player. He's kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere there in New Zealand. But he's looking at a new phase of his career here, I think.
Absolutely, and he doesn't seem to be fazed by the occasion. Obviously, has been there before, has got the t-shirt. But both players would have been keen to get off to the best start. It's starting to look like it's Marco again. We've seen this before in the first 2 sets. And has floated down off this short rail to leave a nice 10. And again, Marco Teutscher of the Netherlands getting our 3rd set underway. He leads by 1 rack to 1, but both players tying in sets. This is the deciding set. I haven't mentioned the S word yet, but I'm about to, Eric. We do have the format of if it's level at the end of this set, we will go to a shootout.
Yeah, he'd have to favor Eklund a little bit, just off experience. But doesn't mean that Marco can't do well in a shootout as well. The X factor in this 3rd set is that both players will be pushing to get to 3. That'll guarantee them a chance at a shootout. So every game really important here.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only seen 1 shootout so far on the TV table in a mixed couples event, and if I'm led to believe correctly, the first 7 balls were missed. It was such a high pressured situation. The Belgian Diana Kocheva putting the 8th to get them through. So shootouts are certainly not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, I was on that match. Most amount of missed balls I've seen in the first 8 shots of a shootout ever. Coach Eva and
Yeah.
Palivanovic came through with the win. Power break from Marco. 3-ball going in the side, nothing on the 1, but he'll have the first chance at safe here.
Yeah, there are good options for safe here. Could decide to try and bring the cue ball behind, off the short rail behind the 6. Not too sure what trajectory the 1 will go off at. That's what Marco may be looking at now.
Yeah, I didn't mind trying to run the cue ball into the 4, but it might be tough to avoid the 9 going up table. Looks like he is going to try to involve the 6 here. Even a bank. Wow, he's getting aggressive. Depends how much he leaves the cue ball out. All in, Gethin, and it didn't work out this time.
No, you can see what he was trying to do, Eric, knowing that if he missed it on the high side, the 1 ball was going to continue down the table. Sadly, for Marco, it connected with the 8 and has hung out quite nicely for Catchy here. I do like when they pick offense with a sort of bit of insurance with it. When it works out nicely, it's a very nice thing. However, this time it hasn't, and well, look at the spread of balls, Eric.
Yeah, make Catchy a favorite here. 7 of the 8's going to require a bit of work. Really a lot of cue ball movement, but kind of safe cue ball movement. The ideal angle on the 7 would be playing it in the bottom left and coming up 1 rail towards the 9.
Just a little point to make while we watch Catchy tee up for his 5 ball. We have another Catchy kicking off on the TV table shortly. Claudio Catchy taking on the Turkish star Mustafa Alna. That will be kicking off shortly, but please do not tune over. Stay here with us for the culmination of this thriller, please.
It's nice and close to it, so he'll be able to feel different parts of the pocket here to control the cue ball exactly. It's slightly straight for the play that I was talking about, so might consider the longer pocket here. It still had enough. Shot.
Yeah, I think Catchy was a little worried that the 9 was going to hamper his cueing there. As it did, it's just pushed the 9 ball away far enough.
It's the first set that's gone 1-1 after 2 games. Marco's been up 2-0 in both previous sets.
Yeah, indeed, That is the case, Eric. And it's a testament to how close this match has been that even after this will be the 16th rack, they're tied in the third set, and they tie in sets too. This is getting tighter and tighter for both our players. Catchy bringing it back to one apiece. We'll have the break. As you pointed out, he's not afraid to change it about a bit. Be interesting to see how he's feeling it at the moment.
Yeah, he took some speed off his first break of the set. See if he does the same here. He made the one. It didn't go directly in, but it ended up getting kicked in the side pocket.
Yeah, I have noticed that the cut breaks, the one ball has been tracking towards the centre pocket, but it's very, very regularly getting knocked out the way. Sometimes still putting a ball in the centre bag, but cut break not going exactly their way, and Catchy's persisting from that spot.
Went high this time, but the 9 balls down. 3 balls down. Nothing on the 1.
No. Although there are good options for him to try and hide the cue ball here behind. I don't know, maybe behind the 8 or the 5.
Yeah, it's kind of equal going both ways. But again, the problem here, and this has happened a few times in this match, is that he's going to have to draw the cue ball either way. It doesn't mean he can't. It's just so much higher percentage if you're able to play these safes with only follow or only follow and spin. Make him a favor here to get behind either ball. He'll go with the feel of which one he thinks he can get behind more. Wow, this is, I mean, makeable. But the thing is, you can't really play the cue ball behind the 5 because you're going to be risked to not have a shot on the 2.
Yeah. Good observation, Eric.
Jeez, got stuck. I think the other factor there was he might have been trying to actually run into the 5 and kind of rely on the 7 to cover the bank if he missed it, but he did get behind the 5 here. It's a makeable jump, and he had this in consideration. Even if he did get behind it, he'd still be able to jump the 2 in, but shot. Well, both players looking to kind of go for some offense. Marco going with the bank in the first shot of the last rack. Didn't make it. Catchy took advantage. Now Catchy taking a bank and making it. And that's really all there is between them. Shot there. Not afraid to get better on the 5.
Well, Catchy seems to be very relaxed out there, even at this tense point of the match. Good stuff from him here.
One of the few players still playing with a long extension. Still has like a 6-inch extension on the back of his cue. He's about 6'4", so the kind of body build that can handle that longer extension at the back.
Well, He's keeping me quiet here, Eric. It's a joy to watch. And Catchy takes an early lead in this last and deciding set. He now leads by 2 racks to 1, halfway for him. This match still looking like it could go either way. Clenty with the break.
Yeah, he's on one break and run here. Not making the one consistently, so no guarantees he'll continue to make a ball. But getting good spreads. Made 3 on the last break.
You just see in the background Catchy's brother lining up. I believe that's the loser's qualification of this Little Monster Men's International Open. He takes on the Turkish Mustafa Alra. Plenty Catchy to break, leading 2 racks to 1 in this final set. 1 set each.
Two ball down. Tied up to the 1. Again, a drawing safe opportunity. Likely cue ball behind the 3 here. Lay the 1 in the middle of the short rail.
Got a good spread there, Eric. Really unfortunate where he's finished up against the 1 ball there.
Yeah, it was nice and available over a pocket. Just cue ball getting in the wrong spot. Just gonna try to follow to the left of the 9 and come through the 6-8. That's tough.
Yeah, clearly trickier shot than he would have wanted. Taking a little extra time over this, including the extension. Where the balls are spread, it's very important he gets good cue ball here.
Yeah, he must feel like he can't draw it enough to get behind the 3, otherwise I think he would. Just couldn't avoid the 9. And a chance for Marco now.
Big chance. Big chance. It was a very tricky position. Catchy found himself after his own break. I did mention the spread of the balls. Marco taking his extension. He's been in his chair. Big stretch of the shoulders.
Yeah, he's going to want the 3 to pass the 7 here. I believe it does.
He's punched that very well, and if that 3 passes the 7, that is a very handy shot. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, what does that tell us, Eric?
I'm not sure because he got perfect on the 3, and you would think that it passes easily if he was, well, not easily, but you would think that it wouldn't be too much of an issue if he actually was playing that position. Just being sure here. No, he didn't have it. Combo's good, though.
Oh. Yeah, the combo is good, Eric. Clearly that didn't pass. Still nice offensive play by Marco here. And now, if the 5 passes the 9, could have a relatively easy positional shot left with him now.
Perfect again. Yeah, he really had to get good on the 3 if the combo was the only play there. I don't think he was trying to come back for it in the side. So just got perfect on the combo and was able to continue the offensive run without much risk other than making it.
I have to say, I didn't spot if Marco had even checked that it went. I'm just wondering if he actually assumed it did and then found out afterwards that it didn't, because he certainly put that cue ball in perfect position for it. However, he's still at the table, and that combination had done all the hard work, I feel.
Slightly too much angle here, but he can drag at it, hold one rail, 2 rails across if he wants.
Yeah, he dragged that rather nicely, and as long as the middle pocket doesn't come in the way, should be looking good to keep this match in its thrilling position that we've been finding it throughout.
Yeah, just trading blow for blow, break-in runs, full table runs. Pretty much error-free except for a couple maybe safes or tough kicks.
And indeed, Eric, Marco Teutscher of the Netherlands brings the score back to 2 each in this final set. And it's difficult to pick a winner at this point. I'm not going to. But what I will say, Eric, is that both players have not really made that many mistakes, to be fair. So will it be a game of who's going to make the next mistake or the last mistake? Or will it come down to who gets the better of the breaks? And, well, as you saw in the last one there, Eric, Catchy breaking the ball well, just was a little bit of misfortune on the cue ball.
Yeah, that was a big factor. I mean, he could obviously see the one, he was right next to it, but just what didn't land in a way where it was even easy to play safe and ended up crashing on the 9. One ball's got a chance. Kicked away. 7 down.
Has that 3 come to pester Marco? It looks like it has, Eric.
Yeah, he can try an aggressive jump carom here. It'll definitely create distance. I think he will decide on that in the end. Too tough to push against a world-class player like Catchy here.
And again,
It's gonna leave the cue ball a little vulnerable.
I think he listened to you, Eric. I think he's calling the carom onto the 6 for a bit of insurance as well. But both players just not getting the position they want after their break shot. Makes the 6, Eric. Where's the 1 ball going?
No good. No easy safes evident here. I mean, he'd still rather be at the table and did well to carom the 6 in. Just really wanted something easier.
Yeah, little hand gestures from Marco. You said it right, Eric. There's not many safe positions here. Marco looking to push the cue ball down behind the 5. Done very well there, by all accounts.
Yeah, he found one. Very creative shot, purposely playing into the 3. Only way to get the cue ball behind the 5. Shot.
Where we are in this match, every shot now becoming a crucial shot. Well, we've seen Catchy play one very tight jump shot like this, where he's taken the end off of his jump stick. He's looking to do the same again here. I think he's called the 1 as insurance into the bottom left, but what he will be looking to do is bring that 1 ball down to the bottom left corner and career the cue ball up somewhere past the 9 ball. Difficult jump shot.
Well done. Covered him completely.
Oh yeah, and a nice sportsman tap on the table from Marco there, acknowledging how difficult that shot was and the result that Catchy's got from it. It's quite close to the 2 down there.
Yeah, he's going to try to get the cue ball near the 3-4. Easier said than done. Long distance jump. Slightly thin. It's going to leave it, but Catchy's going to be over top of the 8 here.
Yeah, the cue ball came in very full onto the 4 ball there and was a good blocker, but sadly, nothing was there to block it from this 1.
Yeah, he does have the draw option up the left long rail. Draw's kind of playing into the 5-8, but he'll try to hit the gap between the 2. Surprised he's going follow here. Must be some kind of safe if he's following. Must have had to get over too far to the left side of the cue ball. Was just worried about the deflection on the play I was talking about. But those are experienced choices, you know, like percentage play in the long run's probably just to cinch this ball in, bide your time, try to get safe here.
Yeah, maybe stroking off the edge of this. 3 pushing it over, 2 pushing it over towards the 3. Did that very, very well. There is a 1 rail escape off this short rail. I'm not too sure what sort of pace he's prepared to go into it at.
I was thinking the same. A slow one will probably leave the 2 safe most of the time, but the question is, will he be in a worse spot if he plays a slow one? Could get lucky playing it slowly. Great shot.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff from both players here, Gethin.
This is of the highest level and really has been reflected in the scoreline as well, Eric. This has been one of the matches so far for me in the tournament, and it's not over yet.
He's made it. Just off. Called it up there.
Yeah, it looked like it was going in. Marco dashing back for the jump stick would indicate that maybe he hasn't left a direct path onto this 2 ball. Does only need to go over the edge if so.
Good shot, freeing the cue ball up decently. Too close to the rail. He can come back 2 rails between the 5-10 here. Gethin, pressure on this shot.
Absolutely, made a great jump shot. Would love to follow it up now with a good pot on this 3 ball.
he's answered the call.
Oh. That was a big shot to play at this stage of the match. Tapping the table there, Eric. Has he just finished a bit too straight for his own liking there? I'm not too sure, but not completely satisfied.
Yeah, he'll be able to cheat the pocket, but just would have been easier if he didn't have to. It's okay.
Just queuing over the 9 ball makes this a little bit more interesting. So just looking at the angle, indicating that he may drop down across the 8, down into the bottom left quadrant of the table. Big deep breath from Marco. Was able to hold it for the corner pocket. We're getting to that stage of the match though, Eric, where nerves, shot clock, composure are all going to play a major role in this.
Yeah, just a little more emotional than some of the very top players. But just the factor that he hasn't been near the end of tournaments 20 times like Catchy has. No doubt he has all the talent, and not like the emotion is affecting him. It's just his composure around the table.
And that 10, Eric, will see Marco Teutscher get to the hill first in this deciding set. If Catchy were to win this rack, we will go to a shootout. And if that does happen, we will start to give you the full lowdown on how that will play out in the sense of what the rules are. But right now, Marco Teutscher keeping his composure and keeping control with breaking in this 6th rack. And they've put Greg Crudis from New Zealand, our referee, on the spot a couple of times. I think he's done a very, very good job. We are up to day 5 of this 8-day event. So Marco Teutscher to break. He leads by 3 racks to 2. Only needs this one to take the match. Big, big break.
There goes the 1. Cue ball perfectly controlled. How's the 2 going to end up? It's there, Gethin. He's got a shot at offense here.
He does.
What a victory this would be for Marco if he's able to pull off this last rack.
Yeah, absolutely. And clearly playing an informed Catchy will make that victory taste even sweeter. But there's still a lot of work to do here. However, the first job is done with a successful break and a good look at this 2.
Can't tell if the cue ball's clipping the 6 on the follow play. I think it is, so drawing around it's going to make it a little tougher, but he can still get over to the left side here. Shot.
Yeah, avoided the 6 nicely. I thought he might have had to take a little chunk of that, which would have made this a little bit more difficult. However, avoids it nice. He's done that nice. I just want to point out that we are in the winner's qualification stage. This is double elimination. As Sir Eric mentioned earlier, players will have in the back of their mind that they will come back for a second bite of the cherry. However, Marco currently in prime position to not have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, the 4-ball lined up to the perfect line he needed on the 5 to draw over softly for the 6 here. This is really the last ball that needs to go down for Marco. 7, 8, 9. No problems there.
Yeah, I think you've nailed it, Eric. Good straight position on this 6. And it's all there for the taking without trying to infer the commentator's curse.
Nicely in position, just has to avoid the 8 coming back.
Yeah, he was just looking about which side of the 7 and how far down he needs to go. Would ideally like to not be too high on the 8 so he can stay up that side of the table for the 9 in the middle. I have to say, this would be a comeback, especially against a player of the caliber of Catchy, who did take this first set in a hill-hill thriller, and then Marco returned the favour by taking the second set with a hill-hill thriller, and he'd be doing his best now to avoid another hill-hill situation. 3 more balls left, Eric.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to go up to the short rail here. I don't mind coming back for the side. If he prefers the corner, it's not wrong. I think just taking a little pressure off the pocketing, playing the position in the side here. But he's played great through this match, and it'd be nice to see him get through here.
Yeah, this will secure the winner a place in the last 32. Big prize pot for this little monster men's international open.
He's there, Gethin.
Yeah, a big exhale from Marco Teutscher from the Netherlands, who beats Plenty Catchy in an absolute thriller of a match. The first 2 sets going hill-hill. Marco winning the last set by 4 racks to 2 will progress through to a place in the last 32. Catchy will return in the losers qualification of this men's event. On the other table, streaming right now, Catchy's brother, Claudio Catchy, is taking on Mustafa Alna, as you can see in the background there. But please stay tuned on this table. We will return as soon as possible for the next round of this Little Monster Men's International Open. It's been my pleasure to be joined by Eric Hallison here in the box. My name's Gethin Davis. Please don't go away.